This is Brenton from Latrobe U Space, and we are doing the first Latrobe U Space podcast. I'm here with Danica and Taylor. How are we?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
Cool. So today's topic is going to be about Marvel movies, something we talk about a lot in here. So guys, what's your favourite Marvel movie?
Mine would either be Captain Marvel or Captain America the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, look, mine would probably be Captain Marvel or Guardians of the Galaxy.
I like Guardians of the Galaxy. I like Peter Quill. I think I have a similar personality.
I like Rocket.
Rocket.
Yeah, Rocket.
Yeah, I can't stand Dave Bautista's character. I can't even remember what his name is. I think it's Drax, but
yeah. No, he's hilarious.
No, he bugs me.
He's so
much.
skillful though, like you can't even see him.
Yeah, because he just stands still and he thinks he's invisible.
No, I love it.
Oh,
I think
man.
Chris Pratt's amazing and he's hilarious in that. My favourite Marvel movie would probably be Logan, I think.
Yeah, if we're going into the X-Men universe, that's definitely my favourite. Or Days of Future Past.
Yeah. You know, I really like Logan. It's like, I don't know, it was way more adult than a lot of the other stuff,
Yeah,
I suppose.
very much.
Yeah, I think it was really well written. And there were certain bits where Logan was like getting out. Like I remember when he had the getting out of the limo for the first time, and they had that like little fight scene, and I was like, oh, okay, this is definitely not for kids.
Yeah, very much so. And the kid in that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was hilarious.
I like Deadpool. I don't know if that's in Marvel.
No, Deadpool's hilarious.
Yeah.
And they do fourth wall breaks really, really well in that. Fourth wall breaks are not easy to do.
No, not at all. And yeah, he does do it really well. And it's on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So,
regular.
okay, so for those of you who don't know what a fourth wall break is, it's basically when they realise that, you know, it's not a movie and they like they interact with the audience and like looks directly into the camera and
Oh, yeah.
you know, so they're like
They're
just talking
cool.
to the audience.
Yeah. So it's like the one character that's talking, he's no longer talking, or they're no longer talking to the other characters. They're having a moment where they're talking directly to the audience. So you think of Emperor's New Groove, and there's those little scenes.
Oh, little
Yeah.
cutscenes.
Yeah. And he pulls down, he's talking directly to the audience. He's like, remember, this movie's about me,
Yeah.
not him, me.
Yeah.
Their fourth wall breaks. There was another one we were talking about in the office the other day, in Emperor's New Groove, where there's a race scene at the end, and they're both trying to get back to the castle or whatever. And the bad guys, Kronk and... what's her name? Yzma. Kronk and thank you, Simone. Kronk and Yzma fall off this cliff, and then the Cusco and they beat them there, and then they open the door, and there's Kronk and Yzma that have beat them there, and they go, how did you get here before us? So then the Kronk pulls down a map and goes,
Yeah.
honestly, it doesn't make any sense. So it's kind of a fourth wall break in the sense that they're acknowledging the audience. They're saying, yep, we're not even going to try to explain this away.
Yeah. Oh,
They
yeah.
also do that very well in Modern Family.
Yes.
Yeah, so they'll like talking about something and Phil will be doing something stupid and you'll see Hayley break away and she'll like look into the camera. It's like, this dude.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that show in a long time.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. But yeah, it's that borderline interview kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Deadpool does it constantly,
Yeah.
like all the time. And apparently he did it in the comic books too.
Yeah.
He would address the reader. Which
Yes.
imagine how hard that is
Yeah.
to do.
And they like specifically say it in the first Deadpool movie as well. It's like fourth wall break inside a fourth wall break. That's like 16 walls, and just stuff like that. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's brilliantly written. Did you
Yeah.
like the first or the second better?
Probably the first, but I like the second as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon the first one probably more for me.
Yeah, the second one's, I think it's got to be more comedy and get a bit more action in it, so that's why
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I like the first one better. The second one was still very good, but it was like there were certain bits where I was like, because a lot of people weren't expecting Deadpool to be the way he was. I don't
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
So the
I
comments
doubt it.
about Hugh Jackman, the comments, all this stuff that people were like, what? Like, are you gonna say that?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Or even just having the magazine cut out of Hugh Jackman's face stapled onto his.
Yeah, I lost it at that bit.
Yeah, or the comments where it's like, oh, I guess they couldn't afford any more X-Men. You know,
Yeah.
he's talking about the producers of the
Yeah,
film.
Yeah, but then there's also another scene, also in the second one. He's like walking around the X-Men mansion, and
Yeah.
they just open the door, and then
And
you
he
have
really-
Professor X, you have Quicksilver, you have Beast, you have like all these different X-Men characters in the background that he like just doesn't acknowledge.
Yeah, I just like the start of it, how he's like riding around a Professor X
Wheelchair.
Oh, blimey, it's
Yeah.
good.
It's good.
But yeah, I'm so with the whole MCU, I enjoyed it, but I felt let down by Endgame. It's probably one, like, it was an okay movie, but the story, it was one of my least favorite. I think I don't know what the original story was in the comics, but I was really let down by Endgame.
I like Endgame.
No, I do like Endgame, but there were certain things that just weren't needed, especially considering it was a 3-hour and 2-minute film.
I watched it like 3 times in the cinemas.
I think I saw it twice in the cinemas. But yeah, there were just certain scenes like some of the humour I just don't like. So for example, what they did with Thor.
Look,
Like-
after the 3rd time I watched it, it got really annoying.
Yeah.
Like the first time I watched it, oh, it's funny. Second time,
Eh.
eh. Third time, just like, oh my god, stop
It's like,
it.
I know, Brenton, you've always said like how you like that he was like this big, like meant to be god, but he's like this guy with like complex mental health issues.
Yeah, well,
Like-
I really like that. And the reason why I like it is it's a really good, I guess, comedic take on guys and masculinity and mental health. Because there's always this assumption, that, a lot of guys do grow up thinking, I've got to be macho and I've got to be put on this face the whole time. But then, it's not the case. They do feel and everything like that. So I think it was a really good take on, he's the epitome of a man who has just lost everything. And he's just like, yep, okay, I give up on everything. And
Yeah.
it was, that's what I really liked about it. I thought it was hilarious.
And everyone hated like Hulk, but
yeah, I'm one of those people.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
Yeah.
I thought he was cool.
So like for example, with the comedic stuff that just wasn't needed. So like, there's a whole diner scene with him and I think it's Ant-Man, and you got Black Widow in there too, and it's just like you got these kids coming up, and it's like they want a selfie with him or something. It was like this whole thing that could have been left out and just wasn't needed. Whereas if they'd replaced that with like, there was a deleted scene where when, spoiler alert, Tony dies.
I think we're past that
Yeah,
point.
just in case. It's like every single Avenger around him kneels as like a way to like pay their respects, and like they deleted a scene like that but kept something like that no need scene with Hulk, and I was like,
yeah. Well, I thought it was cool. Like, he wasn't fully transformed as Hulk, but he wasn't Bruce Banner either.
Bruce Banner either,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Nearly
it was-
said Wayne, didn't you?
Yeah.
wrong franchise.
It was just cool how they like kind of combined it together
Yeah,
and made like a whole different take on Hulk. He wasn't like that angry, you normally see at Hulk. It's just like a more calm
Yeah.
and like friendly.
See, I
Yeah.
like that. I like the fact that they did give a resolution to the Hulk storyline that I think was, it was a good way to do it, I suppose. Like, if you're going to resolve the whole Hulk conflict, I think that was a good way. What I don't like is how they got there.
yeah,
Like,
I agree
it
with
was
that.
so underplayed. Like, I honestly thought the whole thing they were building up in Infinity War was it was actually going to be Hulk that beat Thanos one-on-one. And the reason why I'm saying that is, one, I thought they were foreshadowing it with Hulk being beaten by Thanos so early in Infinity War.
And how he didn't want to come out.
Yes, and how he didn't want to come out. And I
Yeah.
know in the extended like Marvel universe with all the comics and stuff, Hulk is he's so insanely powerful. Like, his power is only limited by his anger. And in one comic series, I think there was a world breaker Hulk who actually destroyed a planet with a punch. It's how powerful he could get.
Oh wow.
But they never did that. So that's why I'm thinking, okay, Hulk's going to come back and he's going to save the day. And it would also be foreshadowing the original Avengers, where Loki was like, oh my god, and Hulk just goes, yeah, and bang, 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 bang.
Boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought we were going to see another version of that, like, obviously a more epic battle, but I thought we were going to see something like that. So that's what I don't like, is that they jumped to that conclusion to just try to wrap up Hulk's storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was too quick. And
Yeah.
I think he should have been the one to save to beat Thanos at the end of the day.
Yeah, another character they played up was Captain Marvel again, because like they built her up so much, and saying it's like they even included her in one of the end credit scenes to like,
Yeah, to like, I see
Yeah.
what you're saying.
yeah, to like link her in to be a part of the Avengers, and then she was barely in it until the end.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I think it's part of the problem when you've created such a huge cast, and then you've got to try to fill the screen time.
Yeah, I think
with
there was
all of them.
about
Yeah.
over 68.
Yeah. So that's
characters.
insane.
I
in the one
love the
thing.
last fight scene. That was probably the best.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
It was epic.
I was like, I got chills, I got goosebumps.
Just
I'm like,
as soon
"Woo!"
as Falcon says to Captain America, just on your left, I got chills because like it took me back.
No, I did love that big final fight scene. It was just the, like I said, it was how they went about. I don't like the time travel. I think that was a cop-out. You ever heard of, I always forget how to pronounce it. Machina
Dos
or
Ex
Machina?
Machina.
That's it. That's what it was.
Yo.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that, Tay?
No.
So the concept of it, so you've seen The Lord of the Rings. You said you'd seen that recently.
Yes.
The ring is a Deus Ex Machina. So what it means is it's a plot device that is an instant win for the good guys, essentially.
Yeah.
That's basically what it means. So there is something that is an instant win, something that totally comes out of nowhere, that just, totally blitzes the whole issue. It solves every problem that they've got. Is the core concept, which is what Marvel did with time travel. And I felt that really cheated it because they'd done so much build up to it. They'd done all of this work, and then they were like, oh yeah, let's just throw time travel in to fix everything.
Yeah, but I remember you also saying that they literally explain the correct way to do time travel.
Oh.
And then they kind of flipped it on its head. So they were basically saying how, and they used it they used it as an example with Nebula when, past, future self shoots her past self. It's like everyone thinks because she shot herself, she's not meant to exist anymore.
Yeah.
But that's not actually how time travel works, and they explain that. But then you explained to me, Brenton, that that's just not how, it didn't end up working out like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's generally two kind of concepts in how time travel would work properly, I suppose, at least that I've read. You've got the one option that you travel back in time and it creates an alternate reality, which is the way Marvel went.
Yeah.
And then you've got the other option, which is kind of the same reality. And what that means is, if you've ever seen the movie Time Machine, I can't remember who the lead actor was, but the concept is a guy, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was also in a Marvel movie, actually.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. And there's an Aussie dude.
But it's
He was
about
in Iron Man 3.
the mathematician.
Yeah.
And he creates this this time machine because his fiancée gets shot. A mugger accidentally shoots his fiancée.
Yep.
So he creates this time machine, travel back in time to save her. And when he does that, he catches her before she meets up with his past self, and he's like, no, let's not go into the park because that's where she got shot.
Yep.
Pulls her aside and goes, oh, okay, he's like, look, later on I'm going to be angry, I'm going to be frustrated, please just trust me, please, you know that I love you, and rah, rah. And she's like, okay, can you go get me some flowers? So he goes and gets some flowers, and while he's over in the store, a carriage runs off the road and runs his fiancée over and kills her. So what he realised is, and I think in the movie he quotes, I'll quote it, it's like, I can travel back 1,000 times and watch her die 1,000 ways, or something along those lines. Because if you travel back in time, and it's that concept where it's the same reality, if you travel back in time, you cannot change anything that would alter you travelling back in time. So if he travels back in time, saves his wife, he never creates the time machine to travel back and save his wife.
Yeah.
It creates a paradox.
You don't have the motivation to actually go and do that.
Mind blown.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that's the way that it commonly people would explain that how it was resolved is that she would just have to die, and the timeline would kind of fix itself and make her die. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's how, as a general rule, that's kind of the way I go. But if you go the one or two ways, and the way that Marvel went,
That's like in Deadpool 2, how Kane goes tries to save his wife, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Like
well,
changing
in
someone's-
Deadpool 2, Cable, his whole thing is going back in time, killing this kid, so that, his family doesn't die.
Yeah, but then Deadpool
Yes.
tried to change the way the kid acted.
Yeah, and that did end up changing his future. But then again, at the very end of Deadpool, he steals the time travel device and saves Vanessa, his girlfriend.
yeah.
So,
but again,
Yeah.
Marvel had, but that the one way is that, like I said, it's in the same,
Yeah.
I don't know, call it like timeline.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then you can't do that. The way that Marvel went is that every time they travelled back in time or whatever, they created a new variant. So it's like a new time thing. And this was a big grievance that I had with that. Like, cool, that makes sense, right? So that what they're saying is every time you travel back in time or someone travels back in time, it creates a whole new timeline. That means that in our timeline, Thanos died, right? But because of the time travel, there was a Thanos from a different timeline that came over. Yeah?
Yep.
So that means there's a timeline over there that has no Thanos, which means there's no Guardians of the Galaxy, and there's no Loki, there's no any of that. None of them do
None of them
in that
interact,
other timeline.
none of them-
interact.
Oh,
Because
wow.
Thanos was never there to cause all the problems.
Yeah.
Not only that, I
Yeah.
also worked out that there was, I can't
it
remember
was
now,
5 Captain
five
Americas,
Captain Americas.
in the same year of
Yeah.
one of the realities.
At one point, there was 5
Of
Captain
Captain Americas.
Captain
Yes,
Americas.
You had an
was.
old man Captain America,
Yeah.
the 2 young ones,
Yep.
and then there were somewhere there
I
was
can't
another, yeah.
remember exactly, but I remember counting and working out that there was 5 Captain Americas alive at one point in this timeline, and I'm like,
Oh wow.
Yeah.
you overcomplicate, and I'm sitting there watching it and I'm thinking, because that's why time travel is such a tricky thing to do, because so many things muck it up. One of the movies that did do it right, I know this is kind of off topic, was Prisoner of Azkaban.
Okay.
Prisoner of Azkaban, they in Harry Potter, they did it right, because when Hermione travels back in time, and what's really interesting is you actually see it in the loop. So every time, the first time you go through and you see all the
that not happen,
interactions of
Dave?
that day.
No, I've never seen it.
Oh, haven't you?
No.
Oh, they travel back in time to try to save somebody from dying, right? Then, and then they go through, and there was all these weird little things that happen, and you don't take too much notice of it. Then you go back, and you see that all these little things that were happening were actually their future selves that had come back in time. And that's the way you would experience it, because it would create a loop. There's always 2 going through in that same time loop.
Yeah.
That's how you would experience it, because, then that's how time works. If you've gone back in time to do something, then your past self has also been there to do that thing as well.
It's like in Back to the Future, you're not allowed to see your past self. You're not allowed to interact with your past self, or something will happen to your future.
Yeah, I think it's been too long since I've seen that.
Yeah, but they followed the way of time travel that whatever you do in the past will reflect an impact on your future.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then they also talk about timelines. I don't know. I'd have to watch it again. But the movies I've seen, there was only a few that ever did it right.
Yeah,
And I don't think Endgame. I think Endgame really kind of left this nest of plot holes and stuff. I remember sitting there at the end and I was a bit like, oh really? I just wasn't that impressed with it.
Yeah, a lot of people had that kind of thing with one of the most recent Marvel movies, the latest X-Men, Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, I haven't
So
seen
it was
that.
like they were getting towards the end of the X-Men franchise, and they'd done all this different stuff, and in the end, it's like, let's bring in aliens. And so
okay.
instead of it being mutants versus humans and different factions of mutants, they turned it into humans and mutants fighting, but then let's also bring in aliens. And yeah.
They did an Indiana Jones.
Yeah, essentially. So
Yeah. Back on Marvel topic.
I keep changing the topic.
yeah.
The new ones that are coming out, what do you think of them?
Which ones are they?
So the one I know mostly is Black Widow, which unfortunately has
that'll be
been
alright.
delayed on when it's going to come out, given everything that's
Yep.
going on.
Yep.
And then a new one that they recently finished filming was called The Eternals, which I do not know a thing about.
Yep, okay.
Is that the one we seen at the trailer?
No.
No?
And then there's a bunch of the Disney Plus series which have also been put on hold. So the Loki series, WandaVision, which is Scarlet Witch and Vision, which is meant to lead into the next Doctor Strange, I believe, or Scarlet Witch is definitely going to have something to do with Doctor Strange too.
Okay.
Nice.
There was a bit of stuff going on with the Hawkeye Disney Plus show.
Yeah.
It was happening, then it wasn't happening, but now they've kind of
And
restarted
wasn't
that
there
up
another
a bit.
Thor?
Thor is going to... Yes, there is going to be a new Thor where they bring in Natalie Portman back in again,
Yes.
who's meant to be like a female Thor, and there's also meant to be supposedly Guardians of the Galaxy characters roped into that because
yes,
at the end of
There
it,
is
Right.
supposed to
Thor
be
went off.
another Guardians of the Galaxy, isn't there?
I think
Yeah.
so, and
Yeah.
Thor's
Yeah.
going to be in one of those because at the end of Endgame, Thor went off with the Guardians of the Galaxy group.
Yeah,
I'm
yep.
so keen for that. It's giving me goosebumps at the moment. Oh,
Yeah, I just like seeing the interactions between Thor and Rocket/Rabbit because Thor calls him Rabbit,
Yeah.
and it's funny.
Yeah.
they're like best friends made for each other, soulmates.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Chris Pratt Thor dynamic. I just think that's hilarious. And Chris Pratt's nothing but threatened by it, and it's it's so good. I'd love to be on set with those guys. I think that'd be a riot.
Yeah.
An absolute
That'd be
riot.
crazy.
So yeah, well that's our conversation today about Marvel. I'm Brenton,
I'm Danica.
I'm Taylor.
and this has been the U Space Podcast, episode 1.
Couches.
See ya.
Bye.